Morning break of day 34 of the Undercover Policing Inquiry, Tranche 2, Phase 2. We've been listening to the live evidence of Denise Fuller, who is a woman an animal rights activist who was deceived into a long-term intimate relationship by HN1, cover name Matt Rayner. She was fucking brilliant. She was really fucking good, wasn't she good? I'm joined by Claire Hildreth. So Denise was the first witness we've had who has refused to answer questions. Directly gone, I'm not answering that. I don't want to. I mean, first it was about the Leighton Street chicken slaughterhouse protests, and it did apropos of nothing really. She was being asked about it, and she went, "That's enough about that."
Yeah,
I don't
wanted
want
a lot of information, and quite right, it's not that.
It's not.
Why is it relevant?
Well, it's not relevant.
Yeah.
And then we got to think about her involvement in animal liberation, and she went, "I'm not being funny, but I thought this inquiry was about undercover police and what they did, not what I did. I'm not answering that
Their
question."
behaviour, not our behaviour.
Yeah, and it was brilliant. I thought it was really good. The barrister just moved on. I think for a lot of it really kind of just reminded everybody about why we're here. You know, exactly. But in general, I thought she was a really good witness. What did you make of?
Yeah, she's just not intimidated. I think I didn't realise that you could do that, and that you had to answer their questions, and I didn't really know that. You know, so good on her.
Good on her. Yeah. No, it was good.
They need to be stood up to. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
It's not about what she's done. It's about she's a victim here.
Yeah, exactly.
And they need to be reminded of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, they're not like the barristers are asking questions. I mean, okay, we're looking to get the actually what happened and all that, but they're not the experts on this stuff. I mean, they've gone through a process that's ended up with a list of questions that have come from various sources. Often they've come from the police and whoever else, and people here voluntarily. We're not members of the public are voluntarily giving evidence. There's no compulsion. So, I mean, the idea that it's not you're meant to be doing this. Well, it's nonsense. I think well within her rights to answer in that way. She was asked about her involvement. It was one of the standard ones. It starts off, how did you get involved in activism? She talked about being a vegetarian in the 1980s, seeing something in Time Out about London Boots Action Group, going along, getting involved in activism through that, going to protests. It's all pretty sort of standard stuff. Yeah. Talked about how she became friends with HN1, cover name Matt Rayner. She talked about him driving. I mean, the classic ones. Driving them home from meetings, all that stuff. Her going for coffee with him turning up unannounced at her house.
Yeah, that was interesting,
wasn't it? Yeah. But she just didn't mind. I mean, this is the difference, I guess, between somebody who's savvy like HM1 compared to Andy Cole's.
His motivations are somewhat different.
Well, I think maybe they're the same motivations, but like
he's just less immediate.
Yeah, but also he's got a bit of riz. You actually play along with him. Do you know what I mean? And we like kind of get to know her and tell her and sort of. He supposedly his version of his life. He was on a piano scholarship.
I'd be interested to know. Can he play the piano?
I mean, you think he'd have
to?
No,
because I never ever known that he said he'd been on a piano. I would just if we went to a pub with his piano. Got him to have a.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know the piano thing.
Yeah.
It's possible. I mean, if he's quite middle class, which I think he is.
Probably. Yeah.
Going to play some instrument, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, what I thought was really interesting was she was saying about how George, who was a cipher, who was very paranoid about him. And extremely, and even said that at one time George claimed much later, didn't tell Denise this at the time, but much later said that the HM1 company Matt Rayner had said to him, "Yeah, I'm an undercover officer, but no one's going to believe you if you tell him." I mean, whether how true this is, who knows? But no one's going to believe you tell him. No one likes you. Get out of the animal rights movement. You're a crank. Which I don't know if I believe or not.
I don't believe it.
No, fair enough.
Why would he?
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense, but.
Because, I don't know, I've been wrong a lot about
sure.
So I'm going to be wrong about this. Do you know what I mean? It's possible, isn't it?
Yeah, it is possible. I think it is possible.
It's got a mean streak, clearly.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah, I mean, we saw a report that HM1 had written about Denise, which, it's all that gross stuff about her appearance, all this personal information, how many O-levels she got, what her parents did, all this information.
We've not seen that though. She's talked about that.
She's talked about that. We saw one report and then she mentioned another one, but
we don't get to see them all, do we?
We don't see them all. I mean, they will theoretically, if the inquiry was like kind of working in a timely manner, all these documents should be released if they're referred to in hearings.
Yeah, of course they should. Yeah.
But there's been such a I don't know. I think we're still waiting for stuff from November to be published on the website. They did very little over the Christmas break, unsurprisingly. I mean, who'd have thought they would? But we're still waiting to get that. But I mean, what was interesting about that was, she was going like, well, it says all these things that it says probably, and she was like, how can an official report say probably? What does this even mean? It's nothing.
It's a good point. And also she said, there was the good thing she said when she was talking about she maintained, should say we, because they did a lot of stuff together. Yeah,
absolutely. And so they got to know each other through doing this direct action together, which I thought was really interesting.
She talked about his being physically capable.
Yeah.
Which was part of the reason that George thought he might be a
ex-military.
Because of his demeanour and his bearing,
And then he
handle himself.
He handled himself. When it came to dealing with terriermen on hunt sabs and stuff, he wasn't intimidated. He was quite happy to get
I remember that as well. He was like, and that's having somebody beside you that if you're not particularly good at getting out of that kind of situation, having somebody near you. And I know HN1 said that as well about himself. We were close together on demos, but that's because you felt like he would look after you. If
absolutely.
It kicked off.
So it's that thing that if you've experienced confrontational situations, a lot of the time things people think, oh God, that got really hairy. You go, no, someone was shouting in your face. It's not actually. You back yourself so that if it does kick off, you're going to be all right anyway. So let them shout out for you or whatever. There was a couple of really minor restriction orders that were put into place. Nothing we can't really talk about. It's just incredibly minor. We're going to have a closed session now. After this break, there's going to be a short section of the hearing which we're not allowed to go back into. So it'll be a bit of a break before we're back again properly. Where I don't know. I have no idea what's going to be questioned actually because we're not allowed to know. But so there is an amount of stuff today that can't be talked about. I'm guessing there's going to be restricted because obviously it's not being broadcast at all. So I'm guessing
I don't think we'll get to know.
Get to know. Yeah. It's a bit of a shame.
We're going to go back in though after that though. I think.
Yes. Before lunch we'll be back in for lunch. Yeah. So anything else you want to add about Denise? I just want to reiterate how good I think she's doing.
She's really brilliant. It's really good to see somebody just being as confident up there.
Absolutely.
To stand up to them and move it on their own terms rather than them controlling it. It's great to see.
And it's also particularly because we talk about how. I don't know what the right word, not vulnerable, but so many of the women who've been deceived in long-term relationships, how difficult this process is, and people are like, are they able to do it? They're capable. It's okay for them to do it. Many people who listened to the spaces I did last Friday, sort of previewing this, which Denise came on and chatted about stuff. People were like, oh God, it sounds like she's going to be affected by this. Is she going to be okay? She's done the best of everybody.
She's smashing it.
She's smashing it, right? Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, all the civilians who are giving evidence at this inquiry are activists, and that means that we've dealt with situations which are very uncomfortable in the past, and actually step up when it comes to it. People step up
when it matters.
When it matters, and she is really stepping up.
She is.
Yeah, she really is.
Brilliant.
It's really brilliant. Yeah, and she's not intimidated by the process. When we've had the things like there's a restriction order, and it's like she's like, oh, what's going on? And she stood up and gone over to her lawyers and been like, well, what do you want about? And not being intimidated by the court process, by the inquiry process. It's not a court inquiry, but I think that's been really good. It's been really good.
It's refreshing.
It is refreshing
to see. And it's very, very interesting in general, but person to see that. So I think it's it's a shame there's not more people here to see how brilliant she's doing.
I mean, just to say, if you have ever considered coming down to an inquiry hearing, there is no concern about space. There is so much space in this new venue. There's less desks, so I mean, I'm lucky enough to be one of 3 people. There's 9 desk spaces.
Loads of chairs.
But I mean, hundreds, literally hundreds of chairs. Much more than they'll ever need. You don't. I mean, if you haven't registered, feel free to just turn up. So there's got some comments. People saying, glad to see we're back in the building. Great shirt too, Rip Calv. Yeah, this is Grand Collapse. They were my housemate's band. The lead singer, Calvin Saul, sadly died, really horrifically. I love him forever. Sorry. Other comments. Doesn't she go by Liz here? Yeah, she does go by Liz. The inquiry is using Denise Fuller in its official stuff. I'm just using Denise because she's been referred to as that in the documents and stuff. She does go by Liz as well. D, Liz, Denise, whatever. This happens a lot with witnesses at the inquiry. They have, they're known by a name, and then there's a name which the inquiry is using. So I'm just using the inquiry name just for consistency's sake. But that's it. Any other comments? No, someone joined. If anyone's got any questions, yeah, I'm back in the building now. Those who were viewing yesterday saw that I got chased. I was at exactly the same spot I'm doing now. So I'm only allowed to film in this one spot. You can see there's no brand, there's nothing around it.
Like paper on it saying that.
Yeah. This is the only place I'm allowed to film. But I mean, that's fine.
Corner.
Yeah, special corner. Yeah, we've got to make sure that there's no branding on show or anything. Just the Undercover Policing Inquiry and nothing about the building. I'll do another update at lunchtime. I'll do the one with we could have got the microphones out here now because it's like a bright setup. But normally I always go by phone because I just go and stand next to a wall to do it quickly because it's a short break. But Instagram seems to have an audience of its own, so I'll continue doing it on Instagram. Anything else to add?
No, thanks.
All right, right on. I'll see you all at lunchtime. Cheers for joining.